Well, let's get the latest on what I suppose you could call the boxing match between government workers and the issue of wages with government. The SA Local Government Association, it represents municipalities, it's offering municipal workers an increase of 2.8%. Now, inflation is 2.9%. In other words, if workers accept the offer, they'll lose a little bit of money over the next financial year. But, as you know, government has said workers should not get big increases. Well, of course, many workers in the private sector have lost income or lost their job over the last year before the lockdown. We did ask SAMWU if they would join us for this conversation. They said this is their quote: "We took a decision to retreat from media engagements. We're at a very sensitive stage of the negotiations. At the right time, we will grant interviews. I hope you understand." That's the direct quote. Well, Dumisane Magagula is the Deputy General Secretary of the South African Municipal Workers Union. He joins us now. Dumisane, good afternoon to you. Are you going to retreat from this fight? You must be pretty annoyed with this offer.
Good afternoon, Stephen, and the listeners of Newzroom Afrika, and thank you for the opportunity. Firstly, maybe let's confirm what SALGA is saying, that we are in the midst of the process of the negotiations, but we take this opportunity to alert members in terms of what is the offer from the employer, and also to go public about our stance as the trade union. We're not going to retreat. We are still demanding the same 4,000 across the board increase. We're demanding a 15,000 minimum wage in the sector. And we're also demanding that the EPWP and CWP workers should not be further exploited. We need an agreement that will enable the employment of the EPWP and CWP workers.
Okay, you're talking about expanded public works program workers there. Do you believe that SALGA is starting low because you started so high? And come on, Dumisane, a 4,000 rand increase across the board is very high.
Look, for us, there are a few things that we want to achieve with this demand. Firstly, we want to make sure that we reduce the wage gap in the sector. We want to make sure that we enable service delivery. That is why our emphasis has been on debt collection. And we also want to make sure that within the government sector, there is reduced over expenditure and there is reduced wastage of money.
You talk about reduced expenditure, reduced wastage of money, but I mean, there are many councils that just don't have a big enough revenue base. There are councils in a terrible financial position. They have debt to Eskom they cannot pay, debt to Rand Water, other water providers they cannot pay. What are your workers doing to deserve an increase?
Yeah. The situation in the municipalities has been coined as municipalities undergoing financial distress, and we have said they are not undergoing financial distress. They are undergoing financial mismanagement, which is not addressed, which is not kept by the councils in the municipalities. Workers have given their all. We can take the example of 2020 during the pandemic, when they responded to the clarion call as frontline workers, when no one even knew what the pandemic would mean for the citizens. All we knew is that essential services should be out and they should continue to give the service. And service delivery is core business of the municipality. And workers in the municipalities are the core functioning force that enables municipalities to deliver the services that is well deserved by the citizens.
Well, Dumisane, it would be interesting to run a poll on Twitter as to whether people feel they're getting value for money for their services from municipal workers. But let me put this question to you like this. You will know how much financial pain, never mind other pain from the pandemic for a moment, but the financial pain that people have suffered during this time. People in the private sector have lost jobs, they've lost income. We lost probably 2 million jobs last year. Why should municipal workers be completely spared that pain and everyone else should feel it?
The counter argument, Stephen, is that the impact of job losses is also on workers who are still in jobs, because they have to take care of extended families. Burden on them actually increases. And as a result, they should be able to take care of their own families, take care of all others around the family who need help during this time. We do take into cognizance that we are going into this wage negotiation during a time when there is economic downturn. But on the table of negotiation, both from the employer and the labor. It has been established that indeed the municipalities have continued to rake in money. They have actually increased their collection by 13%, which is just the contrary of what has been mooted out there, that municipalities have actually suffered from the pandemic. The opposite.
Dumisane, I have to ask you where you get those numbers from. Just last year, the 3 metros in Gauteng, Ekurhuleni, Tshwane and Joburg, suffered a loss of revenue of 800 million rand. Where do you get the idea that they increased their revenue from? Can I ask you where you got the number from?
Our numbers are based on authority from Treasury, that besides them collecting funds, they've even actually money that is not yet in the kitty of over 453 billion that they need to go out and collect. It is on authority that we raise these issues.
Okay. I accept what you say. Are you prepared to go on strike on this? I mean, there's a huge distance now between where you are, your demand, 15,000 rand a minimum wage, a 4,000 rand increase across the board for every worker, and where SALGA is a 2.8% increase. I mean, it would seem very difficult for the two of you to reach middle ground or to touch gloves with the help of a referee in the boxing ring. Are you prepared to go on strike over this?
Our members are more than prepared to go on strike, but we have called for restraint to make sure that we give a fair process to the negotiations. But if it comes to where all has been done, we will definitely declare a dispute and take over the streets of South Africa, which actually belong to municipal workers, and make sure that we complete the process of negotiation in that manner.
Dumisane Magagula, always good to talk. Thank you very much indeed for your time, sir. The Deputy General Secretary of the South African Municipal Workers Union.